take the Magic at 10.5, but I think we can actually get a better play and go over 216.5. The Magic are just losing games. 7 straight, right? They just suck. And we know they There's no real news about anything different with Orlando. They're tank at the bottom. Worst team in the NBA right now outside of, I guess, the Spurs technically, but at least the worst team in the East. I don't know what's going on. San Antonio just like, whoa, slow down, young man. We ain't winning games here. Now, with that said, Paolo Banchero, the ups and downs of this rotation, trying to figure out who's playing on a nightly basis, all of that aside, the Magic are a tough out at double-digit numbers. Toronto, because of Toronto just being in utter disarray right now. They were, and that was, we went 1-4 in the freaking 5 for 5 because games had late information that screwed us to the wall. But the one that we did hit was the most obvious from a mile away, and that was Toronto was not ready for prime time in Brooklyn. Just not ready for a moment in Brooklyn. And the Nets just smacked the shit out of them. You come back home after that quick 2-game road trip, spurt of a trip where you didn't even do anything positive. And I think the effort is going to be to score here. I think Toronto is fine with this being a track meet. I think this is fine for Toronto to get up and down the floor. Guys like Scotty Barnes maybe have an appearance. So you're going to look at, I think, this Raptors team using it as a chance not to clamp down defensively and hold this team down. I think depending on who's out there for Toronto, first and foremost, and secondly, how fast they want to push this game. Magic coming in are going to allow that. I think you can get to 220, 221, key number around that. And that's 216.5, surprisingly low for a game in which if you like Orlando to cover, I think you have to take the
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome into Live Before Lock. We're here to get you ready for UFC Orlando, which is going to kick off in 2 hours from now. We have got 14 fights on this slate here today. Of course, we lost a fight yesterday. We'll get into that here in a moment. Of course, we are sponsored by PrizePicks. Of course, we're going to talk about PrizePicks because I will tell you there's a lot of props I like over at PrizePicks today. I think it's kind of scary when you start trying to put those 5-player cards together of how much I do like over there. But we'll talk about that later on in the show. Of course, as always, we appreciate you tuning in here for Live Before Lock. Of course, be sure to smash that thumbs up button. I always do appreciate those likes. And of course, if you're not subscribed, Stokastic, well, why aren't you? This is where you need to come for all your DFS coverage. We got you covered all day long. Of course, later coming up after us, you got NBA coverage to get you ready for tonight's NBA slate. Of course, as always, I'm joined by the fighter, Pete Rogers Jr. Good afternoon, Pete. How you doing, bro?
Y'all must have forgot. What's up, everybody? Jason and I have missed you guys a lot. If you missed us, throw a 1 in chat. We totally miss you guys. It's nice to be back and here to break down a fight card. Thompson, Holland. It's an interesting fight card. Some intriguing matchups. I feel like a lot of underdogs are barking. So happy to be here. Let's hit that like button. Let's get us to 100 likes. We're finally back.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, if these dogs are barking, my cash game lineup is going to be in a really good shape here today. Because I would tell you, earlier today, I sent Pete over my cash game lineup, and I'm like, and I started looking at this thing after I sent you the text. I'm like, oh man, I am going for some dogs are barking.
Yeah, I mean, we have a crowd, right? We have a crowd in Orlando. Yeah, so this is something to kind of take into consideration. I mean, like, you got a couple people that want to perform in front of their hometown crowd, or in front of a crowd in general, been kind of, sheltered at the Apex for a little bit. I know Clay Guida was talking about it. I didn't realize he was a Florida guy or had people from Florida, family from Florida.
Yeah.
You got Phil Rowe from Florida. So I'm excited to see what happens. And the crowd effect is back in full effect.
Looking at the Florida connections that jump off the top of my head, Matt Schnell, who had trained at American Top Team down in Coconut Creek for a long time. Eric Anders, he vacations here a lot, I know.
He vacations.
He does. Well, him and his wife are like world travelers. She's a fitness model and she does various competitions. So Nico Price is from Florida. Clay Guida, I want to say he's got family down in the Fort Myers area, I want to say. Michael Johnson. Scott Holtzman, he's from Tennessee, but early on in his career, a lot of his fights were here in Florida for the XFC. Would also,
there's no better guy to ask these Florida questions than Jason Floyd. So you can kind of pinpoint who's there or who's accustomed to fighting in Florida.
Yeah, but let's start off the show by talking about yesterday, the weigh-ins. We did lose one fight, Tracy Cortez and Amanda Hebos. That fight canceled due to a medical condition on the Tracy Cortez side of the equation. That was the 8,200, 8,000 fight. That was something that me and Pete were talking about earlier on the week, just kind of a little bit of a surprise on where that was in terms of the betting odds on that one. Also, Phil Rowe does miss weight. Gives up 30% of his purse. It's one of those things when you see him weighing on the scale, he did not look like a guy that was just drained out. Me and Pete talked about this yesterday, is that he looked like a guy that a business decision was made by his team to say, you know what, we're probably not going to be able to cut those extra 2 pounds. So let's try to get a contract weight matchup. And that's what happened. And I will tell you, that is one of 2 fights on this card that I believe are a priority fight. And then, look, this happens in MMA sometimes. Fighter is a little overweight. They get out those clippers and they shave their head. And that's what Matt Schnell did. Weighs 126 and a half. They shave his head, 126. He's on weight.
Yeah. I mean, the first person I always think of is Daniel Strauss. I remember that had big implications back for Bellator, and he had a massive dreadlocks. So he had like, a ton of hair to cut. So when he cut it, he made weight with ease. And, I would do the same thing. If what little hair I have, I would try to see if it would help, but I don't think it's going to help much, bro.
Bro, if we shave your head, what are we losing?
I'd have to be like a quarter pound over or something. Yeah.
Look, I got a full head of hair.
Yeah.
Look, Pete, you got the short hair. You got the short hair. Look, you gotta do what you gotta do to make weight.
Might have to try the towel trick, the Cormier towel trick, and to squeak by on the way in. But yeah, I do think that Phil Rowe kind of pulling the plug on the weight cut is smart to a point, because you do not know, and this is kind of like a factor that we can't pinpoint, is who killed themselves to make the weight. You know what I mean? And that's something where it's like, I should have just pulled the plug at the final two pounds. Me personally, never miss weight, never plan to miss weight. So I will kill myself to get on that scale, just like a pride thing, and trying to, make sure that there's some integrity in the sport. But, it is an intelligent decision, a coaching decision that needs to happen every now and then.
Now, as we kind of move on talking about game theory and how we're developing our lineups today, Pete, I'm a grab multiple highlighter colors and I'm going through highlighting things. I will tell you, so my first color I'll go with is green. And this is fights that I'm just not high on in terms of, how much exposure I want to get to them. One of them is the main event. It's one of these fights that I'm just kind of not sure if it's going to be something that's going to have a high score in it. I mean, it very may be. The other one that I ultimately colored as green, but I was like, God, I don't feel good about it, is Scott Holtzman and Clay Guida.
Weird one. Very weird one. I can't put my finger on how that's going to go. I think they are both far removed from their prime. And in their prime, I do think that Scott Holtzman's the more dangerous guy, but we have seen, previous fighters take him down and take him to Takedown City. And if Guida has anything, it's strong wrestling, as evidenced in all of his fights. Even like the Bobby Green one, where Bobby Green's super dangerous, and you saw Clay Guida like go to the takedown well. And, you know, it's a pace that Clay can push that can break a lot of people. I mean, in the Bobby Green fight, he attempted 12 takedowns. That is some time ago, but we do know that takedown volume is there. There was a point where Guida was super susceptible to just getting put in submissions or finished. I feel like that reputation is somewhat gone, you know, like, yeah, Claudio Puelles just finished him with a nasty leg lock, but I mean, he's a tough out. And if Holtzman is anywhere still affected by those back-to-back KO defeats to Mateusz Gamrot and Beneil Dariush, I can really see an overhand right, keeping Holtzman a little gun shy, and then en route to some massive takedowns.
In terms of my next color, I went with orange, and this is we going to Takedown City, bro. Let's take that ride down to Takedown City. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 5 fighters in this category.
Ooh, let's hear it, bro. I like this little color coordination stuff.
Right now, RDA, top of the leaderboard. We know Brian Barberena, his struggles in stopping. And I mean, look, you go throughout RDA's career, when he has a grappling advantage, he is the guy that's getting takedowns. When he doesn't, he's the guy getting taken down. Then I go over to Mark T. Casey. I mean, look, we know what Michael Johnson is. We have seen Mark become a grappler over the past couple of years. Next, Jonathan Pierce, Natan Levy, and Francis Marshall.
I like it. The Natan Levy one, I think that's going to be a dogfight. Truthfully, that is super volatile. I think Francis Marshall might be the biggest unknown on the card because you have a Dana White Contender Series alum going up against a guy who had more regional experience and more legitimate regional opposition, where like Francis Marshall faced predominantly soft competition. Marcelo Rojo has actually had some really tough fights where he's had to dig deep. He's been finished in the past, been submitted, been hurt, has fought some tough competition in the UFC. I really like Francis Marshall from an unknown standpoint. And he's kind of like a fighter where I think if you are early on him, you can actually pick up a guy who can break the slate. But at the same point, is it too much too fast for Francis Marshall? And from everything that I'm seeing, I'm over the field on the ownership on Francis Marshall.
Yeah, I was just going to pull up the ownership here because Mark was one of those fighters that when I saw the ownership and full transparency in my 20 max, I locked in Mark. Now, look, either I'm going to look like a genius or I'm going to look like an idiot. Mm-hmm. My thought is he's going to be able to chain wrestle, just rack up points with takedowns, rack up points with control time. Now, look, if he gets into a stand-up matchup, am I scared? No doubt about it. To me, for this to work out for me in the way I'm doing it, he's got to go down that takedown route. He's got to score 5, 6 takedowns for this truly to work out. But for me, the reason that I went that route was I was looking at ownership projections over at Stokastic.com, and where I saw it was, I was like, oh my goodness, I got to go somewhere. That's what stuck out to me. You look at Francis Marshall. Yeah, I'm with you. I want to get over the ownership, what is there, just because of what he could potentially do in terms of the takedowns. Now, the next color I have is pink, Pete. And by the way, the other fight that's in my green category of I want to be less exposed on, and this would be more of a GPP situation than a cash game situation, and that is Angela Hill versus Emily Ducote. I think that fight's probably going to stay up the feet. We've seen Angela Hill become better with being able to defend the takedowns, but cash game, I wouldn't mind getting to either side in that equation. Now, my pink category is priority fights. I want to get to these fights, and I have 2 fights. One heavyweight matchup. I think we all understand why that's in that category of Tuivasa and Pavlovich. And the other one is a fighter that we already talked about in the fight that he's in, and that's Nico Price versus Phil Rowe. That is a matchup that when I was doing my crunches earlier this afternoon, I was like, I'm not getting to enough of this fight. And for Phil Rowe, I like Phil Rowe's potential the longer the fight goes. He might get off to a rough first round. But to me, these are 2 fights that we have to prioritize, whether we're talking about cash or GPP.
Yeah, so great points. If you're making groups on stokastic.fantasycruncher.com, starting with both of those fights makes a ton of sense. I like the under in the Nico Price and Phil Rowe fight. The under 2.5 was sitting at -175. I don't know what it's ballooned to now. But I think that's a good play. I don't see that going the distance. As far as the heavyweight matchup between Sergey Pavlovich and Tai Tuivasa, I don't see that going the distance either. My only concern with that bout is the price of Sergey Pavlovich. So I am leading Sergey Pavlovich. I'm picking him to beat Tai Tuivasa because I think that the reach of Pavlovich is going to pose some problems for Tai. The straight shots down the middle. We have seen Tai get rocked. Don't necessarily know how his durability is going to hold up after coming off of that Ciryl Gane fight. And it's a little too early to be turning back to getting back into the cage after such a beating like that. Yes, it was a war, but it was mostly one-sided from Ciryl Gane, just kind of putting it on him. So my issue, I don't even know if I want to call it an issue. My hesitance is just that the 9,000 Sergey Pavlovich could still be a solid score. But unlike other weeks, we have several 9,000 scores that can absolutely smash. So like call it a 105 for Sergey Pavlovich. Let's just call it like that, right? Or, even just 100 points. Is that enough on a slate like this when you have multiple people that, Mark Chikasi, 112, 118 in back-to-back performances. You have Jonathan Pierce, who has 145 points in his previous bout against Makwan Amirkhani, 123 and 133 in two of his other fights. There are just so many ceiling plays here that I think a heavyweight favorite in Sergey Pavlovich at 9,000 could just be a decent play from an upside standpoint, because if this isn't over in one round, I don't like the upside for the score. Does that make sense?
No, I think that's a great point. And I think it goes kind of to that point of how many fighters I have labeled in the takedown route. I mean, we all know, especially when we're talking about DraftKings, how important those players are, because those are the ones that are ultimately going to help you take down a slate. I mean, yes, it would be great if Pavlovich or Tuivasa, either one of them, goes out there and gets a first round victory, or hell, say they go out there and get a victory in under 60 seconds and you get that 25 bonus points. I mean, that's great, but there are some fighters on this card that could get 115, 125, 130 just because of the grappling advantages that they have in this matchup. I mean, like, look, Tai Tuivasa, I think, will be one of the more popular plays. What are you laughing about? I'm
laughing at the comment. No shit, Matt. 105 at 9K is a lot better than 105 at 9.6K. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying, like, from a ceiling standpoint, like 105 at 9K and at 9.6K, if they get 120 plus, you know what I mean? Like, that's my only concern. I do think that the ceiling is higher on other fighters in that 9,000 range. I still think Pavlovich is a great play. I would like to see what my exposure is, but that's kind of taking what I'm saying a little bit different.
I would rather spend $200 more and get to Mark because of the takedown upside than a Sergey Pavlovich that, let's be honest about it, my biggest question with him is, what if he can't get Tuivasa out in the first round? I mentioned this to you yesterday. I said, I think leg kicks could potentially be a key to victory for Tai Tuivasa. I mean, and look, we have seen durability with him where you think he's rocked. Think of the Greg Hardy fight. I think is a perfect example of it, where he got rocked and still came back. Another point I'll bring up is in the Francis Marshall fight, Marcelo Rojo. And I brought this point up to you of big deal or no big deal. He's been at a gym that we all know the story. He has been training at Glory MMA and Fitness the past, this entire fight camp. That team will not be in his corner. We all know what's going on there. Yeah. It's got to be a big deal.
Oh, it's a huge deal. It's a massive deal. So like it's the elephant in the room, right? It's a huge distraction, and certain fighters are okay to go and do their own thing, have their wives or girlfriends corner them or their best buddies. But I mean, at the top level in the UFC, I don't like that recipe for success. You know what I mean? Like, you need your strategist, you need your head coach to reel you in if you get off track, get you back on the game plan, settle you down if you just faced a ton of adversity, kind of like reinforce your confidence, because things get ugly in the cage, and that door, some fighters start looking for the door. So I think it's a big deal that James Krause is not there. We don't really know I'm sure the training's still going great. I'm just, that's kind of like the next level factor that's pushing me away. And, kind of just to touch on the 9,000 options just a little bit one more time. I do understand why people, including myself, are hesitant about RDA in 3-round fights. So I do think that Matt's bringing up a good point, saying, how is his ceiling in 3-round fights on paper? So like, that's kind of what I brought up to you yesterday about RDA. Like, he's accustomed to 5-round bouts. He could come out there with a crazier intensity and pick up higher volume. But I do think like a Jacasey or, a Mateusz Nicolau or Jonathan Pierce or Yasmin Jauregui, they have some interesting ceiling, compared to a flat Sergey Pavlovich outside of first round KO, which I'm getting to Pavlovich a ton. I just think that we have more, solid 9,000 options compared to other weeks.
Here's a 9,000 option that I'm just kind of scared to get to. And part of it is kind of some things we've seen in the octagon with him. Part of it also comes to the guy he's fighting that is more of a counterpuncher and doesn't have a lot of volume. Kyle Daukaus. I did not find myself getting too much Kyle Daukaus.
Yeah, I think because Eric Anders, a guy that I've never really been high on, but he's present, he's tough to put away, and he's strong, he's athletic. I could see a Daukaus Darce choke incoming, but I think it's going to happen later. The frame of Daukaus, the volume boxing, but like we just saw what Roman Dolidze did to him. So if Anders really likes to play and put his people against the cage, so a similar, outcome could happen for Eric Anders against a guy who's really stumbled in the UFC. Like, Daukaus has not had the same amount of success that we've all projected. The skills are there, but the success and just, it's been a tough go for him.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that fight screams fight goes to the distance. That's why if you're looking to make a wager on this matchup, I'd probably looking at the Kyle Daukaus wins via decision. Now, if you do want to make some bets on the fight, you got to check out our friends over at BetMGM, as they have got a no-brainer going on right now. Bet $10, win $200 if any team scores a goal during the World Cup. All you got to do is click the link in the description and pin comment to sign up. Of course, that bet must be a pregame money line wager. Now, this is for first-time depositors. You get all the information down below. But look, if you are looking, you got to take advantage of this no-brainer that BetMGM's got going on right now. If you're looking to place a bet here on UFC Orlando, be sure to check out that. Click that link in the video description below to take advantage of the offer that BetMGM has going on for you right now, as it is bet $10, win $200 if any team scores a goal during the World Cup. Unfortunately, our boys couldn't get the job done today. That was tough to watch. That was some bad defense. I
didn't watch it. I wasn't able to watch it. I mean, we all knew it was a very difficult matchup, but yeah.
No, we knew that was, but be sure to take advantage of that offer BetMGM has for you. All you got to do is click the link in the video description below. And of course, you can find out all the details you need about that offer from BetMGM. And now, I mean, like, look, in terms of GPPs, when I'm looking at these underdogs, and so like, I mean, like right now, I'm looking at our ownership projections over Stokastic, and I'm looking at the 8,000 and below here, Pete. So we got Angela Hill, Phil Rowe, Stephen Thompson, Clay Guida, Roman Dolidze, Marcelo Roja, Gennaro Valdez, Tatu Ivasa, Eric Anders, Michael Johnson, Isabel Nunez, Matt Schnell, Darren Elkins, and Brian Barberena. Obviously, we've already talked about Tatu Ivasa. We know what the potential upside there is. We know if Tatu Ivasa wins, he's going to knock out Sergey Pavlovich if he were to get the victory. But I think there's a lot of questions about, is he returning too fast, from that knockout loss there. You look at some of the other ones that personally stick out to me. Phil Rowe. I know you're high on Phil Rowe here today at 7,800. Stephen Thompson, it's just the fact of he's not a volume guy. He's not a takedown guy. And I'm sitting there going, okay, at that price point, 7,700, yes, he's got 25 minutes to play with, but I'm just like, God, if he doesn't get a stoppage, it's more of an upside thing play for me on Stephen Thompson.
So I like Phil Rowe the most as an underdog, and I have some bias. He's training with one of my striking coaches that I met out in New Mexico. So I've seen some film on him, and he looks fantastic offensively. It's just defensively, he plays with his food a little bit. And he kind of has that Kevin Holland about him where they start having so much fun that minutes are ticking off the clock, or they get caught with some stupid things because they're they're talking or they're playing around. So I like Phil Rowe, but I wouldn't label him I wouldn't label him trustworthy, but I would label him as my favorite underdog on the slate. Stephen Thompson, my guy, one of my favorite fighters. I've been very, very accurate with a lot of his fights, and he has put up some decent scores in decision wins. Like Vicente Luque in a 3-round bout, he won a decision and he scored 95. He scored 102 over Jeff Neal, but that was back in 2019 and then 2020. I just don't know if he's going to be able to have that same success rate against Kevin Holland without getting hurt on the feet, truthfully. So I don't like him from a DFS standpoint. I don't think he's going to knock out Kevin Holland. I could be wrong. Stephen Thompson is a difficult matchup for anybody because of the length and the footwork. But of all the people in the division, I think from a striking standpoint, Kevin Holland matches up pretty damn well. So it's a Kevin Holland play for me. I think it's going to be a late KO or a staring contest decision over Stephen Thompson. Could be incorporating his takedowns, but Stephen Thompson, usually my darling. I'm not really getting to him much today.
I'll give you some just kind of my quick thoughts on some of these fires, and then I'll let you kind of give your thoughts. Clay Guida 7,600. I mean, look, Scott Holtzman has had some time off. He's had some 2 knockout losses in a row, but this is just, it's like, God, man, you're talking about a 39-year-old versus 40-year-old lightweight fighter. It's just one of those things of, you think Clay, maybe he goes to take down well. But does he chin check, Scott Holtzman? We see what's happened to Scott in his last 2 matchups. Roman Dolidze, look, it's a clash of styles. What I mean by that is you got Jack Hermanson, a volume puncher. Roman Dolidze, he's going to plant his foot in the ground and he is going to look to, send you into row 5, but just doesn't throw a lot of volume. But I don't mind getting to Roman Dolidze because of that knockout potential as an underdog. Marcelo Rojo, I think it just comes down to, can he stop the takedown? Genaro Vasquez, I don't like him in this spot. I know Pete kind of is a little different here. I think he's going to have to stop a ton of takedowns from Natan Levy. We mentioned about Tuivasa. Eric Anders, the whole reason I don't love getting there is no volume. And he really finds himself just, like, I call it the Tyron Woodley defense. Like, you're going to be up, you find yourself up against the fence just way too much. Michael Johnson has to keep the fight on the feet. We all know his hands are still fast, but can he keep the fight on the feet? Estela Nunez, I don't want to get there. Matt Schnell, sometimes he's a hammer, sometimes he's a nail. He's a fun, exciting fighter, but as an extreme punt play, don't mind getting there. And full disclosure, he's in my cash lineup just because I'm going really heavy on some of these favorites. Darren Elkins, oh man, I mean, we all know what his nickname is. That concerns me. And Brian Barberena, he's got to make it a brawl. I mean, if he's going to win that fight, that's the only way I see him winning the fight.
Yeah, I mean, good thoughts. Let me just kind of attack one thing you said, and you would prefer Matt Schnell in cash over Darren Elkins from a floor standpoint?
Yeah.
Really? See, like I think Jonathan Pierce is going to, beat Darren Elkins, but Darren Elkins can grapple. Darren Elkins can reverse position, attempt his own takedowns. I don't think that Jonathan Pierce is superhuman. I think that he can get taken down. And I mean, Darren Elkins can make it a very difficult fight. So I actually, in that situation, me personally, I would probably go a little bit lower and go to Darren Elkins just because I know that he's aged. I know he's probably going to get TKO'd in the 2nd or 3rd round, but I could say the same thing about Matt Schnell. A gust of wind and Matt Schnell gets TKO'd. So I'm getting to Darren Elkins a decent amount from a complete punt, even in a loss standpoint, but I don't think a loss is going to be a part of the optimal lineup. It's just, we've seen what other fighters have been able to do to Jonathan Pierce. And I kind of question, is he a little bit overrated? Because Christian Rodriguez had him in so many deep chokes, and Elkins is very talented. Joe Lozon had him in bad spots on the ground. And then at the end of the day, man, the pace and cardio of Elkins, if you are not in top tier shape, Like, and the guy just is not going to go away. He can win a round. He can win 2. He could squeak out the fight. So I don't know. For me personally, I think that Elkins is a safer cash play.
Yeah, for me in cash, my mindset was I'm targeting grapplers. And look, I went extremely heavy. I went extremely heavy on those 9,000 grapplers. And it's either going to work out really well for me or it's, I mean, like, look, this is one of those slates when especially when I was hand building some single entry lineups.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this could be a slate where we just have a lot of duplicate lineups.
I mean, there's a lot of a lot of variance on this slate. I really do think that there's going to be salary left over. If you tell me 4 underdogs win, I'm not really shocked. I didn't really account for 4 underdogs winning, even though I'm saying right here, I think that a lot of the fights are really close. So yeah, like you can really go through, and if they deploy the correct game plan, I think they can make things very, very close. The Elkins, Schnell, Barberena, complete dumpster diving. I feel like Elkins going a little too cheap for what he can do, but that's personally, it's just me.
No, I don't blame you at all of going there. Of course, this is Live Before Lock, and we are sponsored by PrizePicks. Of course, you know what PrizePicks is all about. They got their daily prop-based contest. Of course, they got a great offer right now for everyone that's watching Live Before Lock. All you have to do is click the link in the description below to get 1 free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum and up to a $100 deposit match bonus when you sign up and make a deposit over at PrizePicks. And of course, as I look over there, Pete, in terms of what we got here today of the props over there, I'm looking at the takedown prop. Let's RDA 3. I'm just making sure that this prop has not changed. It was 2.5 earlier on this weekend. It's still at 3. I like the RDA more than 3 takedowns.
I like it. I'm with you on that. I mean, 1 takedown around, we just need 1 get up. You know what I mean? And not to get subbed. So I think Brian Barberena is going to be tough enough to get back up and then get taken right back down.
Mark Jacasky 3. I like them more there as well.
Because he's going to attempt 35. I mean, that's why, you know what I mean? Like, I think like first line of defense from Michael Johnson, I talked about it yesterday with you. I think it's solid. It's the chain wrestling and just the nonstop wrestling where it's kind of, he will wilt if you start attempting more than 1. You go from a double leg, that fails. You go to a body lock, okay, that fails. And then you chain it to a single leg. Like, all this chain wrestling, I think, can make Michael Johnson get taken down.
Yeah. Now I want to go over to the significant strikes props. I'm looking at Jack Hermanson, 56.5. I really like the more here, Uppy.
I mean, he's been durable. Dolidze is making durable guys not look durable. Dolidze is going out there and just, I shouldn't really say that because Phil Hawes is not durable, and Kyle Dawkins in the UFC has been getting beaten up. So I do think it's going to go a little bit longer, and Hermanson's pretty talented on the feet. His choking arsenal is fantastic, but if this remains on the feet, I think that he hits over that.
Here's the scary one that people are going to maybe question me on a little bit. Give me the more on Sergey Pavlovich, 22.5 significant strikes.
I would not touch that. And the reason I wouldn't touch that is just because, like, it's heavyweight. You're going to see a guy throw 20 strikes, land 5, and that 5th one that he lands puts him down. I don't know. I just don't know if I would do that. I've been burned too many times by heavyweights,
My whole thought process is, call me crazy, I think this fight makes into the second round.
You're a tie guy today too, right?
I mean, look, look, Tai Tuivasa and Florida Man have a really good chance to meet each other today, if they've not met each other in Orlando already.
Yeah, but he's still got to fight. I think like he's still going to party if he gets knocked out, and you know what I mean? Like, it would be a cool story.
Yeah, and look, unless he is sitting in a hospital all night long, yes, Todd Tuivasa is going to be on Church Street partying with the crew. There ain't no doubt about it. Todd Tuivasa is going to be a really drunk man by the time last call comes at 2:45.
If he is, and you're not there, you're going to be kicking yourself. Get Jason to do a shoey with him.
Look, there is no way you get me to do a shoey. Nope.
I saw Dana White do a shoey. I think it was an old video, but they put like something attached to the shoe so your mouth didn't like touch the shoe. It was like the lamest thing ever, but
Well, Tuivasa has created his own
maybe that's
shoe
what it was.
company. Yeah, I think that's probably what it was.
Yeah, it's like a mouthpiece to put on a shoe. Like, guys, I
I
almost swore. Put it in a damn cup.
Exactly. Can I get my beer poured in a glass? I mean, is that too much to ask?
Oh, golly.
Can I just sit there and enjoy it a little bit? And then the other one that I'll mention is overall the fantasy score aspect, and that's Natan Levy. Fantasy score is typically a prop I don't go too much over at PrizePicks, but I do like the over 82.5 fantasy score for Natan Levy.
I'm a Gennaro Valdez guy today.
I know you are. I know you are. Well, all right. So explain to me why you like Valdez.
I mean, I don't know if I like him. This is kind of like a Natan Levy fade. I could be early on it though. Like Natan Levy has relatively disappointed me. He has great kicks. I remember when his social media went viral because he was just he's putting out like all striking, like good kicks. Like he throws phenomenal kicks, the dexterity in his legs. You turn it to his fight tape and he just wants to grapple. If he let his hands and his legs go more, I think that he could take out a lot of people in the division. But, backpedaling, putting his back to the cage is not really good against a guy in Gennaro Valdez who goes out there and throws bombs. But guess what? We got two strikers here that like to wrestle for whatever damn reason. So I think that this is going to be a back and forth fight. And it comes down to who has the better cardio. And I would probably say that Levy clearly has the better cardio. He just has to make sure he doesn't get finished beforehand or get put on bottom. So I don't hate Natan Levy. I went to him from like a contrarian standpoint, but I don't even know if it's contrarian. It's contrarian for me. But if I'm looking at his ownership, yeah, holy moly, that is not contrarian at all. A lot of people are in agreement with Jason.
Also, here's the other thing. I need no fights canceled because I'm not going to be able to late swap.
Yeah, true.
My lineups are set. I'm not going to be able, to magically start changing lineups on my phone. No, so I'm hoping that we have no fight cancellations. Let's knock on wood that none of that happens there. But of course, be sure to check out our friends over there at PrizePicks. Get 1 month free of Stokastic Plus Platinum and up to a $100 deposit match bonus when you sign up and make a deposit over at PrizePicks. All you gotta do is click that link in the video description below to take advantage of that offer that our friends over at PrizePicks has for you. So I guess who are we not talking about?
All right.
Is it Matthias Nikolai, Jack Hermanson?
Ooh. How you gonna skip past my girl, Yasmin Jaragui?
I'm looking at the sidebar here on the screen. I was working my way down the sidebar. Okay. She's already at the bottom. I'm working my way down.
She's coming in really low owned, and I think it's because of like it's women's MMA. Not really low owned, but she's coming in lower owned than a lot of the 9,000 options, and perhaps rightfully so. Came out only was a striker in her debut against Yasmin Lucindo. Estela Nunes has a clear hole in her grappling. She's a part of American Top Team. So, Estela Nunes is working on it. I just still think that there is a complete skill gap between the wrestling, grappling of Yasmin Jaragui over Estela Nunes. And then you combine that with volume striking. I think that she has the potential to get a finish here. And she has regionally just put it on her opponents. I'm not really sure if like standing up, Estela Nunes looked damn good early, but the second you start like making things in MMA fight and not just a kickboxing fight, she completely struggled. So I like Yasmin Jaragui. I also like Mateusz Nicolau against Matt Schnell, who I didn't think looked good on the scale, had to cut his hair. Okay, he made weight. He's going up against a chinny guy in Matt Schnell, who, was numerous moments away from being finished in his previous bout. And turned it around and ended up completely, turning it from a horrible performance into a memorable performance. But he took so much damage and he's very chinny. So I do think like a guy, even in Mateusz Nicolau, who's such a decision guy, couldn't find that chin. He knocked down several people in the past. He picked up let's see it. 1 knockdown against David Dvorak, who I think David Dvorak is better than Matt Schnell. 3 knockdowns against Luis Smolka, and 2 in his debut against Bruno Correa. So it could be Mateusz Nicolau from a flyweight standpoint, or Yasmin Jauregui from a strawweight standpoint, who are going under-owned in relation to what they actually can do on this slate.
Now, if you're asking what the ownership may be for a particular fighter, maybe you want to know what the ownership is for Natan Levy, maybe you want to know what the ownership is for Kevin Holland, you need to click that link in the video description below, as we have got a great offer for you right now, as you can get 3 days free of our MMA product right here at Stokastic. It's a risk-free trial. Why would you not want to sign up? Now, this is for new users only. This gives you full access to everything Stokastic MMA has to offer for you. DFS projections, ownership, top fighters, ultimate lineup percentages. You can join our community, talk to other players here. If you've been thinking about signing up right now, there is no better time. Try out risk-free. Free for 3 days. You can sign up right now, and you can get all that information you need right here for UFC Orlando. Look, I'm on that top fire tool. That's where I'm at. I'm looking at that ownership. I'm looking at top 6%. So click that link below and get that free 3-day trial here. Risk-free trial. This is for new users only. So you've been thinking about taking that leap into becoming a Stokastic Plus member. Right now is a great time. 3 free days of Stokastic MMA. You got to take advantage of this offer. It's a great offer there. And all you got to do is click the link below to take advantage of that offer over there. I know I'm top fire tool to me is, that's the tool I'm always going to. And I always and look, I'm trying to compare top 6 and ownership and maybe say, can I find something into it as well there? But of course, if you do got any questions, we're going to line those up here in chat here momentarily.
Total beverages for Jason tonight, over under 10.5 under. I have it over. There's no way. Yeah, that's a high number.
Has there probably been some nights where that's happened? Yeah,
I'd set the over under at 7.5.
Ooh. Hopefully it's the under.
Yeah.
Going to a restaurant I've never been to before, so I'm looking forward to it where this party's at. So
there you go.
So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
That's awesome.
We'll see how it goes. So let me try to get in some of these questions as we're got about 10 minutes or so here left in the show. Try to get in as many questions as we can here. Just kind of going through some questions. We'll kind of throw some ones in there. Favorite underdogs on FanDuel. This is coming from Andrew. So we'll look at the old FanDuel lineups over here. Look, I think that Matt Snell, $9, Tatu Avasa, $11 from Delidze, $12. Phil Rowe, 14, I think is one that definitely sticks out to me a little bit as an underdog player over there on FanDuel.
Yeah, that's who I'm going with.
Yeah. Let's see here. How much main event exposure do we need? I limited
Minimal.
it to I want to say I ended up Kevin Holland. I want to say I was about 30%. I want to say I was about 25 on Stephen Thompson. I wanted to get there, but there's just other fights that I prioritize more.
Yeah, I mean, this is naturally you're going to see people target the main event, and it goes over-owned a lot, but for the most part, it's safe because you know that there's 5 rounds to work with. I just don't know if there's a ceiling to match some of these high scores I'm anticipating today. So, I'd probably keep it under 50% of the main event, to be honest. I'm probably even a lot less than that. Probably like a third of my lineups have the main event.
Yeah. Get a question over here from Discord. Favorite MVPs for a GPP?
Favorite MVPs? So we're talking the DraftKings Showdown? Let's see.
He's talking on FanDuel.
We could talk DraftKings Showdown too. Let's see.
Favorite MVP on FanDuel. Man, JSP is one sticking out to me.
It's Sergey Pavlovich at 19 for me. It's just, he's cheaper. FanDuel like strikers. Yes, it's heavyweight division. I like his odds of beating a Tai Tuivasa who just took a ton of damage. 19, you don't have to really worry about takedowns breaking the slate so much on the FanDuel scoring system. It still counts a lot. But yeah, it's Sergey Pavlovich. That round one chance is just too good to ignore at 19.
Yeah. Let's see here. Mason goes, I'm torn between Rowe and Roja. Last one in. Oh, that's easy for me. That's Phil Rowe.
Yeah, it's Phil Rowe for me. I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, man. Phil Rowe looks damn good on pads, and he looks damn good. And he trains with one of my Muay Thai coaches who is gonna have him ready for leg kicks. I hope. Because like, yeah, Nico Price is gonna bomb away, but he's gonna throw kicks too. And when you're such a tall guy and you have skinny legs, I worry about calf kick susceptibility to a point. You know what I mean? So it's like, check those kicks.
Someone asked about how much salary comfortable leaving on the table. For the most part, most of my lineups were just leaving a couple $100 on the table.
Yeah. I think, anytime you're in that 500 ballpark, you're probably doing something right. Any more than that, you are looking at a ton of upsets and getting completely different, which is fine. That's not a problem at all.
Yeah. Let's see here. Just trying to get some questions that maybe we really haven't talked about yet. By the way, I know there was a lot of talk about how long this fight card lasts. The main card's not till 10 o'clock. It's on ESPN. Yeah, this fight card's going till 1 a.m. It's going till 1 a.m.
Gracious.
It'll likely be if it's over by 12:30, that may be an early one. Is there merit to fading early fights for late swap?
I almost think that there's more value in attacking it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like if you are accurate on the week you attack the first fight or first couple fights of the night, like now you have so many options where it's like, okay, now I can sit there and I have that fighter who gave me a ton of points and I can alter the rest of my lineups. It can work the opposite way too. So I don't really know if there's a right answer for it, but it made me think to myself, I would love to get that first big score a part of my lineups and then kind of alter, from there on. So that's kind of like how I was thinking. I don't know if it's a correct way.
Andrew says, are you guys cool with stacking Elkins and Pierce?
I thought about it. I did think about it, man. That does seem like points galore, but Jason does not like Elkins today.
Okay, if you say you want to do that in cash, no problem. All right. I can get on board with that. In terms of a GPP with 14 fights,
yeah, I'm with you on that.
I mean, look, you want to separate yourself from the field? That's a great way to separate yourself from the field in GPP.
What are you going to do when Wonder Boy Kevin Holland stack takes it down tonight and it's got Glover Teixeira, Yuri Prochazka type of production? I think I'd go check myself into the local shrink if that happens, because I would be completely, thrown off if that happens.
I would be shocked. I'd be shocked if that stack would be an optimal.
Can you imagine? Because nobody's probably, well, there are going to be people that do it, but it doesn't make it a good play. Yeah, I would delete DraftKings 1-2 says. I might contemplate that too, buddy.
I mean, look, it's just, it's more about Wonder Boy's style than anything else. He's a counter fighter. And like I told you yesterday, I think if Kevin Holland catches him, he's going to catch him with the right hand. He's going to counter him with the right hand.
Yeah, I see a Kevin Holland finish. It's just if it doesn't happen early enough, even at Holland's price point, we've seen him put together some good performances, but it doesn't really translate into like a phenomenal score. So, what did he score? Yeah, like 88 over Tim Means, second round. Like that's something I can see happening. And at 8,500, it's like, yeah, you're probably good without it.
By the way, note, it is a big cage tonight there in the Amway Center there in Orlando. So it's not the smaller cage that's there in the Apex. Roja or Valdez, last man in for cash.
I'm gonna go Valdez just from a takedown standpoint.
Yeah.
I don't think Rojo is a guy that is a cash guy. If anything, he's a GPP guy.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Yeah, Devin says, why do people set groups? I mean, why do people stack 2 fights in GPPs? Do they not know how to set groups, or do they not understand MMA? I always see lineups with both fighters in the first 2 fights. Like, why the heck are you going to do it? Because they want to be atop the leaderboard, take a screenshot. I don't really understand it every week.
I've never gotten that one. I've never gotten that one.
I've done it accidentally. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For a late slate, do you boys like Angela Hill?
I like Angie.
In more, I think you will see Dakota at least try to take this fight to the ground. I mean, the one thing you have to understand is she works with Rafael Lovato Jr. If you do not know who Rafael Lovato Jr. is, I think when we talk about best American jiu-jitsu artist, if you name 3 guys, he's one of those 3 guys.
I was going to say, bro, don't even. Gordon Ryan, don't even. But he's up there.
He's up there, yeah.
Yeah, Rafael Lovato is nasty. And the one thing that I was looking at for Dakota is how many decisions she has lost. It kind of threw me off. And I was just like, if anything, I do think this is a step up in competition against a volume monster in Angela Hill. People don't like Angie Hill because of, the limited upside. But I think that she can actually put together something, as long as it's on the feet, that she can actually surprise. And she's going a little too under-owned. People are trying to think they're so smart with getting to some of these GPP plays under, and I'm with you on some of them. But like from a point standpoint, she might be a fighter that's kind of getting glossed over.
I'm looking at ownership projections, of course. If you want to get those ownership projections, all you got to do is click that link in the description below, get your free 3 days of Stokastic MMA. It is for new users, but be sure to take advantage. That's a great offer that the team over here at Stokastic has put together, as you can test out all the tools right here for UFC Orlando. Of course, once we get off the show here in a couple minutes, you got over an hour until we get to lock, so you can really take advantage of all those tools we have over at Stokastic.com. Just click that link in the description below. Get 3 free days of all of our platinum tools for MMA coverage here. Just kind of looking at some of the ownership and thinking, is outside of Mark, that was like the only one that really, like, I was like, wow, I thought it'd be higher. I did, but like, you don't have JSP and Holland are people are getting to. I want to be under the field on Kevin Holland flat out.
Yeah.
I thought the RDA ownership might be a little greater. When I was in Fantasy Cruncher, I clicked lock on Mark and Raphael just to see what I get. And I didn't mind the lineups that were getting spit out.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like a very chalky way to build, but like you're talking about 2 of the best plays, like you go out there and they're going to give you a ton of points in a win, even if it is just 100 points flat. Like some fighters on here won't break 100 points. So raw points is a real thing. And you want to make sure you get the top score for the slate. And that's kind of, the most difficult thing about MMA is trying to pinpoint who that is.
Yeah. Joe, I appreciate your super chat here. It says Big Field GPP. How would you rank these 4 fighters? Only can play 3: RDA, Pierce, Levy, Marshall.
Ooh, you already know who I'm leaving out.
Well, obviously we know who number 4 is. I would go Pierce, RDA, Levy, Marshall.
I'm going to go RDA, Marshall, Pierce, Levy.
Yeah. Sean says, need some luck tonight on your side with 14 fights. It's just one of those fights where it's, if like you're a one lineup person, this is to me where you got to figure out, okay, who are the fights that I just really don't want to get to, and who are the people. And to me, that my mentality in attacking today's slate is I'm attacking with grapplers, because I'm playing over at DraftKings. So that to me is what I want to do, is I'm just looking to play grapplers here today. Pete, as we kind of wrap up this edition of MMA Live for Lock, any final things you want to leave our viewers with?
No, I mean, keep your eyes glued to your phone up until lock at 7. And then hopefully if we have to late swap, we actually have an option to late swap too, rather than somebody that nobody wants to get to. But yeah, I mean, good luck, guys. And thanks so much for tuning into another show, another Live Before Lock show here for Stokastic. We're here every Saturday, going up until the first fight. Yeah, if you can hit that like button, get us over 100 likes, it really does a lot for us, and we appreciate it.
And of course, be sure to take advantage of that deal we got going on right now. 3 free days on Stokastic MMA. Appreciate everyone tuning in for this edition of Live Before Lock. Of course, NBA Deeper Dive is coming up next. Hopefully everyone has a great Saturday afternoon, evening. And Pete will be with you next week. I will not be with you next week. I'll be on the road. So Josh Harris will be filling in for me next week. So as always, appreciate everyone checking us out here on Stokastic. Hope everyone has a great weekend, and we will talk to you later.